Hey everyone, Mr. MC here, back with another lap guide, and this is for Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, but we're doing it only with the GT500 cars. So to access this lap time challenge, going over to sport mode, so make sure you have menu book number 9 completed. Click on the online time trials and you'll see the current lap time challenges being held. So as I just mentioned, this is with only the GT500 cars, in which those are the Honda NSX, the Nissan GTR, and the Toyota Supra GT500. However, the NSX GT500 is the meta car, so we'll be using that car for this lap guide. BOP is turned on, so no, you cannot tune your car, and your goal is to go within the 3% time range of the world record time when the event ends, and hopefully you'll be able to get to 2 million credits. I'll have my in-game replay in the description down below, but now let's go on over to the lap guide, where you can get a slightly faster start to your lap if you pretend you're going over to the pit stop. What I mean is, instead of taking the racing line, go a little bit wider, just making sure you don't hit this cute little bollard, then turn around just before entering the pit stop, and that way you'll get a slightly faster start to your lap. Now bring yourself towards the left, because you're going to brake right as you're about to reach the 100 meter board. So you're going to brake as much as you can, making your way down to first gear. Turn in just after the 50 meter board and turn in as much as you can right here, trying to get the car straightened up as quickly as possible, and you want to gradually get back on the throttle. Rev the heck out of this car before shifting gears, and you can take a Rouge riding on flat outs, but you do need to get your turning just right. Take advantage of the curb on the left, and when the curb on the left ends, that is where you gradually start turning in towards the right. Graze this curb on the right, take advantage of the curb on the left, and try to go through Radion in as straight of a line as possible. I shift up at around 158 miles per hour, so that's around 254 kilometers per hour. Stay towards the left, and you're going to brake just before the 100 meter board. So use all of your braking power and make your way down to second gear. You will turn in just before the curb on the left end. So again, just before the curb on the left end, start turning in. Ease off of the brakes, so doing a bit of trail braking. Give this curb on the right a kiss on the forehead, and you want to be careful with your throttle input, trying to bring yourself towards the left side of the track. That way you get yourself set up for this right turn just up ahead. So you're turning in before the curb on the left ends. You can shift up to third gear, and just be nice and careful with your throttle input. Stay towards the left. You're braking before the curb on the left starts. Now for this turn, I like to go down to first gear. That way I can get a little bit more rotation. So you can see me go down to third gear, down to second, and down to first. The car will rotate a little bit more. And you can exit on first or second gear. Second gear, if you want the power to be a little more gradual, bring yourself towards the right, and you're going to brake just after the curb on the right starts. So right around this area where I have this circle highlighted, that's where I'm starting to brake. So yeah, so right here, this is where I'm starting to brake, and I'm going to start turning in right away. I use 25% braking power and go down to second gear to try to get a little more rotation, and just trying to be a little careful getting back on the throttle so I don't understeer off of the track. Now stay towards the right and use the 50 meter board as your next braking point. So full braking power for a short while, gradually making your way down to third gear, and turn in before the curb on the right ends. And you want to be a little careful with your throttle input, because it's really easy to get a bit too aggressive on the throttle and end up poking out of the track. So you do want to be a bit careful with your throttle control. Brake before you reach the sign that is just up ahead. Use all of your braking power. Turn in before the grass on the left ends, and make your way down to second gear. So nice and careful getting back on the throttle. Do not touch those bars, as they will invalidate your lap time. And just as the gravel on the right starts, that's where you can start turning in, using a little bit of your braking if necessary to fine tune your car's approach throughout this turn. Try to avoid the turf on the right, then brake before the curb on the left starts. Use all of your braking power, make your way down to second gear, and turn in before the curb on the left ends. Nice and careful getting back on the throttle. Do not touch those bollards, and try to avoid this turf on the left, because whenever I get on it, I always end up understeering for this next right turn and end up getting my lap time invalidated. But anyways, turn in before the curb on the left ends, and I like to lift off the throttle for this turn. Just be careful about this bollard on the right, as it's really easy to hit it and get your lap time invalidated. Now for this upcoming left turn, not this one but the next one, it is possible to take a flat out. So you're turning in when you reach this shadow, and because the time is at 0, I'm using it as a reference point. You can take a flat out, but here I do a courtesy lift to make sure I can actually make this turn and not risk going off of the track. Bring yourself towards the left. Brake before the 150 meter board. So you're using all of your braking power. You're going to make your way down to first gear. So you see right here, using all of my braking power. You can take advantage of the curves, but be careful with these curves because it can unsettle the car like right now. And it actually ended up helping me get a bit more rotation and just straighten up the car. Nice and careful getting back on the throttle and finish your lap. But we'll go through this again, but this time I'm not going to stop the video, so we'll take it from the very top, and I'm going a bit wide into this part of the chicane. That way I can get a slightly faster start to my new lap and just rev the absolute heck out of this car before shifting gears. Bring yourself towards the left, brake before the 100 meter board, and you want to turn in as much as you can, trying to get the car pointing towards the next section of the track as soon as possible and get back on the throttle. Al Rouge Radillon can be taken flat out, but you do need to be a bit precise with your turn in. Graze this curb on the right. You don't want to go full attack mode on it, otherwise the curb will attack back and you'll end up in the wall. Bring yourself towards the left. Look for the 100 meter board, as that is your next braking point, which is right about now. Down to second gear. Graze this curb on the right, and just be nice and careful with your throttle input throughout these series of turns. Go up to third gear. Brake before the curb on the left starts. You can go down to first gear and exit on first gear for a bit more rotation. Second gear if you want a little more control of your car, and brake right around here for no name corner. Nice and careful getting back on the throttle. Then use the 50 meter board as your next braking point, and you want to be careful with your throttle input. Really easy to get a bit too aggressive and end up going off the track, as your car will just end up understeering like crazy. Brake before you reach the sign just up ahead. Down to second gear. Be careful about these bollards, as it's really easy to hit them and end up getting your lap time invalidated. Brake before the curb on the left starts. Down to second gear. Avoid the turf on the left, as at least in my experience it just results to massive understeer. Little lift off our throttle right there, and just take a nice little breather before we go to the final corners. For this left corner, not this one but the next one, you can take a flat out, but you can also do a courtesy left to make sure that you actually make it through this turn, which is what I end up doing. Brake before the 150 meter board. You can take advantage of these curves, but be careful, as these curves can unsettle the car. Get the car straightened up, back on full throttle power, and finish your lap. And we'll go through this one more time, but this time in bumper cam, so this is for the bumper cam homies out there. Again, just go wide on the final part of the bus up chicane, that way you can get a slightly faster start to your new lap. Bring yourself towards the left, brake just as you reach the 100 meter board, and full braking power down to first gear. Turn in as much as you can, trying to get the car straightened up for the next section of the track, and then get back on full throttle power. Al Rouge Radillon can be taken flat out, but you do need to be a bit precise with your turning inputs. Graze this curb on the right. If you go full attack mode on it, the curb will attack back and you will not have a good time there. Now bring yourself towards the left, brake just as you reach the 100-meter board, which is right about now. Down in second gear, you can graze these curves. Just be careful about the bollards because hitting the bollards will invalidate your lap time. Nice and careful getting back on the throttle, and brake before the curb on the left starts. You can exit on first gear, but if you want a little more control of your car, you can exit on second gear. Brake right here, turn in almost immediately after, back up to third gear, then bring yourself towards the right if you haven't done so yet. The 50-meter board is your next braking point. Down to third gear, nice and careful getting back on the throttle so you don't understeer off of the track. Then bring yourself towards the left, brake before the sign just up ahead. Down to second gear, there are more bollards right here, so you want to avoid hitting them. Nice and careful getting back on the throttle. Avoid the turf on the right. Brake before the curb on the left starts. Avoid the turf on the left, as you will just end up understeering like crazy, especially for this right turn. Quick lift off our throttle right here. Go up to fourth gear. Take a nice little breather before we go through the last series of turns. As we go through this upcoming left turn right here, you can take a flat out, but you can also do a little courtesy left to make sure that you actually make it through the turn. Brake before the 150-meter board. You can take advantage of these curves, but be careful with them because they can unsettle the car. Here I got pretty lucky. Straight up the car and get back on full throttle power. And with that, just barely missing out on 217, so I know what I'm about to do soon. I'm going to try to go for that 217. But that's all for this lap guide. If you like this video, you can press the like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I just want to take a quick moment to thank you guys for the amazing support with the Abarth 595 Demon Spawn video, as I didn't expect it to do this well, but it's doing pretty well, and I'm really thankful for you guys' support. But that's all for me. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.